Hello, my name is Alex Love, Liberty Chronicle Independent. We have Jilletta Jarvis here. She's running for New Hampshire governor, correct?
That's correct.
So what made you decide to run for office?
Because I want to be able to help the people of New Hampshire. I've always enjoyed helping people, and running as governor, I'd be able to do the most good for the people of the state.
Have you run for office before?
I ran for governor in 2016 as an independent, but I have not currently held public office, other than in the parent-teacher association in my local schools.
Awesome. Were you a board member for the PTA?
I was in Salem, New Hampshire. I actually assisted in the formation of the first, it was a nonpartisan political debate so that we could bring in all of the candidates for every office. And we sent them questions in advance to say, these are the questions we're going to ask you. So everybody had the exact same opportunity to know what the questions were that they were going to be asked and to come prepared with whatever they wanted to come prepared for with, so that everyone in attendance, and then we televised it as well, would have the opportunity to compare every one of their candidates exactly the same.
Besides the PTA, do you have any like professional experience that might help you with your run?
Yes, I have been a manager of some pretty large teams in a couple different industries. I've worked in insurance, and I've worked in banking, in the regulatory and compliance training aspects to help to promote and understand, or have the employees to understand what it is that the government requires, as well as the business itself requires, that they do in order to provide ethical and governmentally correct policies for their consumers and customers.
Awesome.
Also worked at one of the local community college as an adjunct professor, so that I could have a background in education. And I worked in software in the medical industry in order to get a background in what our medical facilities have to face. I did a lot of work with the Veterans Association in the veterans hospitals. And I have to tell you that every time I would leave there crying. It is one of the best examples for why I am not for a single payer healthcare system, because what those individuals do not receive on a single payer healthcare is just astounding. There's no competition at all in where places they can go if they want to receive their benefits. And so they're forced to sit and wait. And there are hospitals that I went to, not in this state, but I traveled around the entire country doing this. And there were hospitals that I went to that were 10 floors, and only 4 of them were used. The other 6 floors were completely empty because they could not fill them. They couldn't put equipment in them. So they had veterans who would just sit and wait and had no place to come and be admitted, even though they had the space. They just didn't have the beds or the equipment or anything like that, all because of government regulations.
How exactly would you facilitate a solution to change issues in the state of New Hampshire?
I believe that the state of New Hampshire could benefit from less government interference, where for example, our energy issues right now. In the state of New Hampshire, you can put solar panels on your roof, and you can sell that solar power that you have in excess of back to the energy companies. But you are only allowed to sell to 3 of the energy companies, the largest ones in the state. You are not allowed to sell your energy to any smaller energy company. You're not allowed to sell over a certain amount of kilowatt hours back to the energy companies. And honestly, I don't understand that at all. There is no reason why government should be limiting what a company is allowed to purchase back from a consumer. If the company doesn't want to purchase it, they don't have to. But if they wanted to, why are we telling them they can't? And why are we, we telling which companies are allowed to succeed and which ones are not?
Are there any other big issues in New Hampshire that you're willing to find solutions to solve?
Yes, I would like to work on our current drug crisis. The whole country has been working with drug prohibition for, I can't even remember the date that it started, but the drug crisis has not gotten better. It has gotten worse. And here in New Hampshire, I receive a list every month of how many deaths by overdose we have had and what they've been attributed to. We are not winning the war on drugs. And what we need to do is, instead of keep throwing the same tactics at it over and over again, we need to broaden our horizons and start looking at places where drug addiction has dropped. What have other places done? In Portugal, in 10 years, they dropped their addiction rates by half in 10 years. We've been having a war on drugs for well over 10 years, and our rates of death have only increased. We aren't succeeding here. We aren't winning. So we need to look at places where they are winning, and what are they doing, and can we adopt some of those practices here? Those are some things that I think we should be looking at.
Do you have a campaign team going? Are you looking for any help with your campaign?
We do have a campaign team, but we are always open to accepting more volunteers. We never would ever turn anyone away who wanted to come out and help, even if it was for an hour, a day. If they wanted to be a permanent part of the staff, we would welcome them.
So you have a GoFundMe account set up?
Yes, it is currently active, yep.
And a website, and you're on Facebook, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, Jilletta Jarvis, running for New Hampshire Governor. And do you have any final words to say to the people of New Hampshire or even nationwide?
Nationwide, as Americans, we need to remember that we are the government, that the government works to support us. And instead of sitting back and allowing them or people in government to make the rules and make the decisions for us, we need to take part. We need to make sure that our representatives all hear what we have to say, that we hold them accountable for what we need and what we want. And I think that that's a very important aspect, that some people have a tendency to sit back and say, well, my vote doesn't count, so it doesn't matter. We need to hold them accountable each and every election day and in between every election day by calling them and saying, hey, I was reading the bills on the state website and the government website, and this is what my opinion is. I believe that we need to support this, or I believe that we need to kill this bill, and this is why. These are things that we can do to make sure our representatives are actually representing us correctly and the way that we need.